Hi, gang. Welcome to another great evening with the dirt bike community. We're here at the Edge Power Sports. Wanted to touch bases on some few goodies here that we had some questions about suspension. So we're just going to go over that again and actually see some results of what happens when we close off the compression, or we close off the rebound, or we open it completely up. So we're going to see how that all works out, and we'll get a good visual of what can be done to actually fix the situation or make it worse in some cases. So first thing, you're going to need a couple little items, something to measure your sag with. This one's a metric and standard measuring tape here. You can either go with that. My favorite tool, it's kind of a cheater tool. It's actually my Motion Pro sag tool here. So I can actually just set up. This is very easily adjustable. You just set this pin in your axle, then you can measure off of your distance, off of your mark off your fender. A lot of your Husqvarnas and KTMs and gases, they do have a small little mark. It's kind of hard to see on this one. It's actually right there, and it just says sag on it. There's a little dash mark right there. If you don't have anything like that, you can actually just take a piece of duct tape or electrical tape. If you want it more permanent, I've actually just run a razor blade and cut it, and then smeared some magic marker in there just so it keeps that dark spot there, so you always use it as a reference point. So first thing we're going to do is we've set the bike up in the air here, and we've already set the bike up to where we can do a base measurement for the sag. So if you're going to use just a tape measure, basically what you're going to do is you're going to go off of your sag mark. You're going to measure right to center your axle for your overall length with the bike off the ground, okay? Then after you get that overall length, now unfortunately I don't have a crew with me to help me out today. I was hoping to have a couple folks, but they had some plans. So after you've got that first initial measurement, you're going to get the bike on the ground, have your pilot get on the bike with all their gear. If they're doing enduro riding with a backpack, have them wear their backpack. That's going to give you the closest measurement for it. With the bike on the ground, they're going to be standing on the foot pegs, balls of their feet, with a little bit of head over their number plate. While they're in that position, someone's going to be balancing from front, and then third person's going to take another measurement. From the overall extended measurement to with the pilot on the bike and the bike sitting on the ground, you want to see an overall 30% of sag. So whatever your calculation turns out to be, you just want to minus that 30%, and that's going to give you your overall sag measurement. Now on the Motion Pro tools, this one makes it a little easier. I've actually got a scale that I can set up for 85s as well, so that makes it a little easier on some of the mini bikes. But on ours, we're going to use our taller scale here. So we're going to take our pin, we're going to set it right here. Then you're going to take that top mark and you're going to zero it out just by loosening up your pin, and this will adjust up and down. And you'll just set that mark right at 0. Then you're going to lock that pin down, and then that measurement won't go away. You've got that fixed. So once your pilot gets on the bike, and then and the bike is on the ground, basically what we would be looking for at the shop is roughly about 100 to 105 millimeters of sag on overall sag for that. If they're not wearing their gear, usually I adjust it a little tighter just to compensate, and I set it about 95 millimeters of sag. There's a lot of information in your owner's manuals. You can get that standard sag setting. I know in all our owner's manuals it gives us all our sag settings. So if you're not familiar with that, maybe get with your local dealer of your manufacturer bike, and they can definitely help you out with that and get you some solid information on that. So now that we've got a basic idea on how to get those measurements, and if you have to adjust it, basically you're going to loosen your locking ring on the top of your shock and just adjust it up or down accordingly, whatever you have to get to that base setting. Now, we did have a question about setting your sag and how it actually affects your rebound and compression. It's really crucial that you have a proper set spring for your weight. If the bike isn't set properly for your weight on that spring, you're just going to struggle with it left and right. So basically what happens is let's say you're a bigger guy, and most bikes out of the box, they're rated about 160 to 190-ish, right around there on that weight category. So what happens is if you get a heavier rider, say they're weighing about 210 pounds, and then they really have to crank down that preload just to get that right amount of sag to compensate for their weight. Well, that spring is under a lot of tension in that situation. And it doesn't matter how much you fiddle with your compression or your rebound, that spring is always going to overtake that valving because it's under so much tension, and it's always going to want to feel like it's going to want to pogo you out of the seat. So that's one of the first things we really recommend, is getting a proper set spring. If you're pretty mechanically handy, usually you can do it on your own and it's not too bad. I think springs typically run about 125-ish, right around there, depending on the maker brand that you go with. If you have a shop do it, usually you're looking about, probably about another $100 on top of changing your spring out and getting your sag set for you. If it's a good shop, after they've put a new spring in there, they're going to get you in here, get you on the bike after they've reinstalled the suspension, and then they're going to do a static sag set for you and get the bike set for you properly. That way you can go out and rock and roll.